So yeah, I've been like the next step in my 3D printing is designing my own stuff
Sure.
or taking things and manipulating them, modifying them to make them my own or tweaking them, that kind of thing. So I started with this software called Blender.
Yeah, yeah. I know
And
Blender.
yeah, unfortunately, like the tutorials and stuff I'm getting on it are like somebody jacked around with my shit. This isn't quite right. There we go. Um, the tutorials I have for it are all like a few years old, which shouldn't be a problem, except apparently they've done some major UI changes.
Mm-hmm.
And like the tutorials, like the very basic tutorials, are like, click on this specific button, use this specific keyboard shortcut, and they just don't work. They're not the same. They just don't work. So so I kept like getting like half an hour, 45 minutes into a tutorial, and then it just couldn't go any further. So I was getting really frustrated with that. So I started using so instead I tried SketchUp, which
I have
like
not
it's
used that one.
yeah, it's a browser based. Now there's some other software versions of it, but the free version is browser based and it's free. And it's like a stripped down, like the paid versions have a lot more features to it, but they're features that I have absolutely no interest in. Like, here's all these items you can bring in, like sinks and topiaries, and because it's meant for actual design work, where I'm just using it to mock up 3D items to then print. But I did find a nice tutorial and made this a little SD card holder.
Oh, nice.
Whoops.
You use a bunch of SD cards?
This was just the tutorial.
Gotcha.
So I I use micro SD cards for this machine, but yeah, it was more just going through the motions and trying to figure this out and designing a 3D object that had words on it, things like that. So um yeah, it was more just the going through the motions of doing it and then printing the thing that I made. But aside from that, I also there's a board game I got recently from Kickstarter, and like some of the items in the board in the box are loose and like flop around a lot. So I'm going to build some spacers. I'm going to print out some spacers to I could probably just buy foam and do it, but you know, like I've got this tool, so every problem can get solved by this hammer sitting over
Right.
here.
Exactly.
um but also like there was some cups inside for tokens, and the cups were about half an inch to an inch shorter than they could have been to fill the space, and also didn't really hold all the tokens that came with. So I designed a new token cup that actually fits the space better, and all the tokens fit in it nicely. So I'm printing out. I just printed out the second one of those.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, so I'm having fun with it. Good time. More just getting that next level of 3D printing. Just leveled up. Though I know I'm like nowhere near like what some of these folks are doing that I see on, like, oh, I've had this for 3 days and I'm already designing this thing, and I'm like, motherfucker, I've had this for 2 months. And I just built an empty box, and I'm very proud of myself for doing it.
I used Blender a little bit back when I was into Second Life
Oh
to
yeah,
like make some objects and everything.
sure, that makes
But
sense.
yeah, I'm not good at that kind of thing.
Yeah,
I'm like,
I'm
where do I even grab something?
I'm better with words than I am with
Yeah.
artistic things. I've got a child that is the artist in the family, and I
Mhm.
let them do all the artwork.
That's the way
So,
to do it.
like, I'm really hoping that in the next year or two, like, they're freshmen and they're doing art classes, but I know there's a 3D design class, like, at some point in the art class structure in high school. So I'm, like, really trying to, "Hey, you should really take that class. You can design us things."
I bet you can get in like a summer class at SWIC.
Probably. Yeah.
I think about like some of like our art and design classes out at SCA, like there's no reason that because there's no prereqs, right? For
Right.
many of them. So there's no reason that people couldn't like just come in and do that over a summer. Go ahead and get a
Right.
credit.
Yeah.
For the people
Which
who are like, that's their thing.
yeah, well, and I thought about doing something like that. I took some classes at through SLU, I think. There's a West County Technology Center, and I took some classes for work. So I was like, maybe they have some 3D design classes or something.
Mm.
And I thought about just doing it for myself, just to get some more basics and um and do that.
Wonder if there's a MOOC for that.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, the massively online open classrooms. So like
Oh,
Coursera is a website that
oh
does
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. There is.
Mm.
There is. Yep.
Oh yeah,
Because
like you.
I've done a few of those for different things. Mostly just me nerding out about
Oh,
things.
here you go. SketchUp. There's a SketchUp course on Coursera,
Well, there you go.
specifically SketchUp, and a introduction to 3D modeling from University of Michigan.
Well, I will have to dig deeper into that
Ho ho ho!
now that I've dipped my toe into the water. So
Fun. Who
yeah,
knows what you'll build?
who knows? Probably more boxes.
Yeah. I had a
Um,
friend who that's what they had. I don't remember if they worked directly for the military or as a contractor, but they did like 3D logistics, something or other. So they would have to get things that were being needed to be boxed up and moved somewhere, and they would be the person who like pull the parts out and design the box that's going to hold all the stuff. That then would have to someone who was a soldier would have to figure out how to unbox and assemble. And so there's like a multi-layered approach to like what you have to do to make that
that's
efficient and easy.
that's actually really cool. Like that that seems like a really cool job if
Hmm.
you've got the talent for that sort of design.
Right. And you got to make it easier than IKEA, right? Because
Right. Yeah, you're building it in such a way that it has to have some logic to how you're opening it, and um, it's got to be user friendly.
Mhm.
No, that's I like puzzles, and that just
Yeah.
seems like a really fun puzzle.
Mhm.
Like I would probably play that video game. You know?
Let's get that on Steam.
Yep. Yep.
Gunboxer. Mm.
Right.
Oh
So
wow.
that, and I'm taking got to take a couple of days off here and there because I'm just about hitting my accrual point at work.
Mhm.
So if I don't take some days off, I stop accruing vacations. Oh,
Hey, it's a good way to see cheap movies at the matinee.
that's what I'm doing on Friday. I'm gonna go see Creed 3.
Oh, nice. I have not watched either of these earlier Creed movies, nor any Rocky movies.
Really?
Yep, I feel like I maybe just need to marathon this whole thing.
I enjoy the Rocky movies. I do. I unapologetically enjoy Stallone as an actor and a writer. Um, the the
I think,
the have you look like you're wondering something.
well, I think I've seen Stallone in exactly two movies, and
Okay.
it's Demolition Man,
Sure.
which I've seen many times,
Yeah.
and Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
Yep. But you've seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Oh, true. That is true. He
He
is
is in
there.
that. He is in that.
That is true.
Uh, Rocky.
None of the Rockies. None
Rocky
of
is a good movie.
the none of the Rambos.
First Blood is great. I would stop after First Blood, honestly. They're, I mean, they're fun, crazy action movies, but the first one has some deeper content to it because it is about it's more about the idea that you come home from and society just doesn't want anything to do with you anymore. And like it's I like that movie a lot. That's one of those movies that if I'm flipping channels and that one's on, I will continue watching that movie.
All right.
Especially because the ending of it, he's got a really great monologue at the end. Um, and I like Rocky. Rocky's great. Copland. Copland is a really good movie from and it's probably 15 years old at this point, but it's kind of later stage Stallone, and he plays a small town police officer, like sheriff, in a New Jersey town where the New York cops all live. And so like these shitty New York cops all live there, and they just kind of run ragged over the town because they can get away with anything because they're shitty New York cops.
Yep.
And he's trying to be a good guy, trying to be a good cop, and he was injured as a teenager saving someone, and he lost part of his hearing, and because of that he can't be a New York cop, so he's resigned to only being a cop here in this small town.
Weird.
It's weird, but like it is he gained a bunch of weight for the role, and he is the least Stallone in that movie.
All right.
That's a good one. And now so he was in all 6 Rocky movies. Reasonably, you can see Rocky 1 and 2, and then Rocky Balboa, which is the 6th one.
And so, like, I know some things about the Rocky movies without having seen them, right? Like,
yeah,
like Mr. T, right? Is Apollo Creed? And
no, he is not Apollo Creed. He is Clubber Lang.
Clubber Lang, but he is a villain. Is that right?
He is
He's the
antagonist. Yeah, right. He's an antagonist.
He's just another boxer.
Yeah, Yep. And Dolph Lundgren is from Rocky 4.
Tommy Gunn?
That's from 5, I think.
So there's a lot of this.
There are a lot of them. The 5th one is probably the one that I would say you can absolutely skip if you also want to see the Creed movies, because some of the stuff from the Rocky movies play into the Creed movies. Spoiler: Apollo Creed gets killed in a fight with Dolph Lundgren's character.
Okay.
And in Creed 2, Dolph Lundgren's son,
oh boy,
shows up and wants to fight Adonis Creed, Apollo Creed's son.
That's a great name.
It is. Michael B. Jordan.
I love Wallace. I love Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
Right. Where Wallace at?
And those movies, the 2 Creed movies are on HBO Max. I found that out accidentally last week because I was like, I want something to watch, and I kind of flipped on HBO Max, just looking to see, what was there, and I saw Creed 1 and 2, like, right on the splash page. I was like, I haven't seen Creed 2 yet,
Gosh.
and Creed 3's coming out, so I watched that a couple
Are
of
you
days ago, and
you watching The Last of Us?
oh yeah, yep,
Okay, great.
oh yeah.
Because I mean, if you're looking for something to watch on HBO Max,
Oh no,
that's where I'd say your first stop.
Julie and I actually watch that every Sunday evening. So
yeah, Claire and I watch it on Tuesdays.
Gotcha.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. Well, sometimes we'll watch it on Mondays because we have a Sunday night role-playing game, online role-playing game that we do, a group of us. So, but yeah, Last of Us is really great. I never got into the game, but I might now. I don't know.
Yeah, I really love the game. It's my favorite.
I think I tried it once and it felt a little bit too much like Telltale games. But I'm not a fan of those.
I think certainly the tutorial, the early bits of the game are like that.
And I think that's what it was. I think it was just that early part of the game was a little bit too much like a Telltale game.
Or like those Quantic Dream games, like Heavy Rain or Detroit Become Human.
Yeah.
Great story, but not much of game.
Right. And I tend to play games later in the evening. So a Telltale game, like for me, I'm starting a game at 11:30 and I'm starting this game and I don't.
Gotta be engaging.
That's how I play my games. If it's what I found is, for me, the best way to start a game is when nobody's around on Saturday or Sunday afternoon and I can, get through the tutorial section, which tends to be really slow and boring for most games. Once I get past that, I tend to be all right.
Yeah. I play often with my friend Justin, who lives in Evansville, but we use the PlayStation Share Play feature. So he's like my guy in the chair.
Nice.
Like he will like tell me what to do with the thing, or sometimes he'll be looking up a walkthrough or a map or something, so he can like.
Oh, that's cool.
Like help me go through it, and so we go through and playing a bunch of games.
That's excellent.
He loves games, but just is not great at playing them, and so and we used to live together, and that was a regular activity we did, and we get to keep it up now thanks to the wonders of modern technology.
The internet is a terrible and wonderful thing.
Indeed.
And I watched another of the Oscar movies today.
Oh, what'd you watch?
The Oscar nominated Best Picture movies. Triangle of Sadness. How
was it? I know nothing about it.
It was billed as a comedy. Okay. And it was a comedy in that it was satirical. It was not comedy haha.
Like Promising Young Woman.
Yeah.
Which is labeled as a comedy. And it's like,
right. Yeah, it took me a minute to remember. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, this one, I can see why it was nominated. But I saw an article that I did not read that was like, this is why this movie should win Best Picture. And I was like, after watching it, I cannot co-sign that statement. I definitely understand why it's nominated. So far, nothing rises to the level of Everything Everywhere. But I was trying to do some due diligence because sometimes there's a movie that I haven't seen that may be better, and let me give it a shot. Because man, if something's better than that, fuck, I want to see it. I really I don't feel like there's going to be a movie that's better than that, but if there is, well, take me to there. It was not. It was fine. It had some interesting statements on gender and wealth disparity, and like the general premise is we're introduced to two models at the beginning, and they end up on a luxury cruise with a bunch of billionaires because she is an influencer and she got a free boat ride. And they are it's a male and a female model, and we start following him, and like they make a point of saying like, how is it being a male model knowing you make a third of the amount as your female counterparts? You know, which is true, but like there's some interesting, like they start right off like we're gonna fuck with the gender roles here real quick, and then by the end of the movie they lean real hard into that. Um, but through the course of the movie, you realize that the captain, who we've only seen from the side of the door because he's not coming out of his cabin because he doesn't want to, and he's probably drunk the entire time. Once we finally see him, it's Woody Harrelson. And
So that's right.
yep. And he is at one point he gets into a conversation with this Russian oligarch who is like, isn't it interesting that the American communist and the Russian capitalists are having this conversation on a multi-$100 million luxury yacht about the nature of society, and they are. And then the boat crashes, and then all of these people are stranded on this desert island, and the only one that knows how to do anything that has survived is the woman who was cleaning toilets. And so now she's like, fuck you all, I'm the captain. Because I know how to fish, I know how to cook, I know how to clean the animals that we've got. I'm the only one in here who knows how to start a fire. So you're going to do what I say now. So it kind of flips all of society on its head.
And then we do Lord of the Flies.
Yeah, not completely. She just kind of takes over, and everybody's like, if we want to eat, you're the boss now. So I mean, it was worth watching. It's worthy of some discussions about society and gender roles and wealth disparity and things like that. So I understand why it was nominated. I don't think it's worthy of us discussing it beyond this,
Mm-hmm.
I can recommend watching it, but also it's kind of a slow movie at 2.5 hours long.
I like it how you said that this movie with the heavy social commentary that was nominated for an Oscar isn't worth us discussing here just before we discuss Cocaine Bear.
Right?
That'll let all the listeners know exactly what kind of podcast you found.
You know what? Hey, this is Tony.
Hey, it's Mitch.
We are the Backseat Producers, and tonight we are, going to talk about Cocaine Bear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Cocaine Bear. Mitch, what'd you think?
This movie wasn't as wild as I thought it was going to be. And maybe that's my fault for having even the slightest of expectations. But that's where I was. What about you?
Sure.
What do you think?
I had expectations of it being kind of bonkers and funny.
Mm-hmm.
And it was. It was both of those things.
Mm-hmm.
It was less manic than I thought it would be.
Yeah, that's the bit, right? I really thought it was going to be off the rails, but I felt it was sort of on the rails.
It was like it told a story.
Mm-hmm.
And the story was followable.
Mm-hmm.
There weren't any pieces missing to that story. There were things that were dropped early on that ended up paying off later. Like, the movie told a better story than it had any right to tell.
Mm-hmm.
The acting talent in it was solid throughout.
Oh, absolutely.
Um, the effects were pretty damn good.
Yes. Right.
I mean, they weren't perfect, but they were as good as I expected them to be.
Yeah. But like, yes, I felt like this movie got up to like B plus level, but I really kind of wanted to slum it with like a C minus mania,
Right?
right? Like the movie was better than I expected, which somehow made it worse for me.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not like I didn't enjoy it. Like I had some fun watching this movie for sure, but I was thinking something way more madcap or way
You
more
expected less
silly.
from it.
Yeah. I expected like Bad Lieutenant
Sharknado?
Port of Call New Orleans. I expected Sharknado. Like I
Okay.
expected like that level of like I'm I'm enjoying the way it's bad and it's leaned into being bad and stuff. But like this didn't do that.
No. No,
Right.
it was it kind of reminded me of one of those early 80s horror movies. Kind of like a of Friday the 13th.
Yeah, yeah, all right.
Like real early, but like with better acting
Mm-hmm.
and better dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
But and maybe it was just because the sets, because the set piece of being out in the woods and then also being the period piece of set in 85,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of gave it that. Um,
I had fun nostalgia for that.
yeah,
And that gets rid of any problems with cell phones and stuff.
sure.
And it was all in this sort of like state park or national park zone. It was all
Mhm.
this outdoor settings. And we sort of like went through different set pieces of that, right? In the woods, in the caves, in the rivers, in the cabins.
Yeah, it all felt very appropriate
Mm-hmm.
for the story they were telling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's bears here and that makes sense, and we know the cocaine is involved.
Cocaine was
Eh,
involved.
um, what's weird is like there were moments of the manic weirdness, like the opening sequence when he's throwing the cocaine
Mm-hmm.
out of the plane, and he goes to jump out, bangs his head, and then just promptly falls to his death.
Yep.
Like, all right, yeah. And then later when the ranger shoots the guy in the head, like unexpectedly,
That was good. That was
that
a
was good.
wall.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
That was Matthew Reese was the
it
guy in the
was.
plane.
It
Which I was
was.
like, when I was looking, I was like, wait, is that the American? And it sure enough was.
It's yeah. Because Julie was like, "Who was that in the plane?" I was like, "I'm pretty sure that was the dude from The Americans." She said,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh yeah, maybe that was him." Well, that makes sense. She said, and I didn't know this, but she told me that um, he's married to Carrie Russell.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh, okay, yeah,
Right.
right,
Easy get.
okay.
Right.
Um, and also, what's her name?
Martindale
Martindale. Thank you. She
from
was
BoJack
in.
Horseman.
Yeah, she was in The Americans also,
Mm-hmm.
apparently.
Makes it easier to cast. Just get people who already work together.
Right? Uh yeah. So
Well, and also from the
Tormund.
Americans, right?
Oh,
John Boy from. I mean, you're gonna go see The Kill a Mockingbird?
yeah.
Yeah, the
Oh, right.
Atticus Finch was in The
Atticus Finch,
Americans.
yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Tormund from Game of Thrones, right there in the beginning.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Um
As Olaf and Elsa, the hikers.
I believe that was their names. Yeah. I know it was Elsa. I'm looking. I don't remember what his name was. It was Olaf.
You're funny.
Christopher.
Mhm.
Then there was Ray Liotta
Oh yeah.
in one of his final roles.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder
He
if this.
spit on my shoe once.
Holy shit! This, according to IMDb, this is his final role.
Nice. Actually murdered by the cocaine bear.
Yeah,
No
yeah,
stunts. That just happened.
yeah. What a way to go.
You know, died like he lived.
Ice Cube Jr.
Right? From Straight Outta Compton?
Yeah, well, that's actually his son, also.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
wow. Okay.
yeah, that's actually his son. But yeah,
Nice. Well, no wonder he looks like him.
right. He looks just like him, and also he played him. But apparently, he had to audition for that role and everything. And they're like, "Yeah, all right, we'll let you read. You know, we're not gonna stunt cast you just because you look like him." And apparently, he just
Sure.
came in and knocked it out.
Yeah.
And he was fantastic in that movie too.
And you got Han Solo.
Young Han Solo, right? Uh,
Did you watch The Wire?
I did watch The Wire.
Because we got Senator Clay Davis.
Yep.
Shit.
Shit.
In here. It was great.
Yeah. He's fantastic. Let's see. They also had Jesse Tyler Ferguson
I am from Modern Family.
from Modern Family. Yeah.
Who I thought was, I don't know. I mean, it's not that he was unrecognizable, but like drastically different performance from him than I've
Yes.
seen him elsewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And like that was actually kind of nice to see him
Yeah.
play way out of type.
Yeah.
From what I'm used to seeing, which kind of leaned into the same character that he played in Modern Family. The other things I've seen him in. The kids were good.
Yeah.
Little Henry was fantastic.
He cracked me up repeatedly.
Every time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fucking tired.
Yeah. That's good. And there's that one of the three hoodlum teens who like ends up with him, the one who lives a little bit longer.
Yeah. Is
I don't
he
remember who that was.
is he somebody?
I don't know if he's anybody, but he was the other performance where I'm like,
yeah,
I got used to him.
Yep. Let's see. I'm trying to look up the kids.
I don't recognize the EMTs.
No, I didn't recognize them either.
But they did good.
And the Bears were all great.
Pablo Escobar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then those babies were cute.
Mm-hmm.
They were really cute. They look like polar bears.
They do that kind of thing in the movie where like the bear's like a killer, like in a horror movie, and can just essentially teleport to wherever they need to be.
Yep.
Right. Like bears darting back to its home cave, then back to the cabin within moments. Like there's a whole bunch of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's also, I mean, we also don't get a really good feel for the geography.
That's true.
So, like, the humans are probably walking paths, and the bear just doesn't give a fuck about paths.
And the bear's real coked up. So
it is really coked up.
That gives you some speed. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought this movie was a shitload of fun, just all around.
Yeah.
So let me
maybe
ask
I
you
need
this.
to see this like in a different way, because like when I'm like, I liked this movie. It was fun, but I wouldn't go like shitload of fun, because again, like I wanted, I don't know, again, I guess it's just my expectations. Like I was expecting more madcap, more trash. This movie seemed like it tried to be kind of good, and it kind of was. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
I don't think they did a bad job of any of the stuff. All the things that we said, I thought the performances were good. The plot made sense. Like it was wild, but not silly, right? Like once you accept the idea that this is a coked up bear, then everything followed from that pretty consistently.
Yeah, that the bear can just eat a kilo of cocaine and its heart not just instantly explode.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is the story of the real cocaine bear.
Right.
It
Yeah.
ate like 75 kilos of cocaine or whatever. They ate a ton of cocaine and it just died.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah, it just
So
I think for me, the reason I enjoyed it as much as I did was I kept hearing this movie's actually good. Like I heard that multiple times that the movie is actually good. So I had a different set of expectations that I was going to see a better movie than I expected after like the first trailer for it, or first heard that it was coming. Like when I first heard about it, I'm expecting Snakes on a Plane.
right. That's what I was expecting.
Right, which was garbage.
Yes.
It was fun, but
Right.
it was garbage.
That's what I was expecting, a hot pile of garbage.
Yeah, and like even with Snakes on a Plane, like it was garbage because they made the movie, and then Sam Jackson is like, "Why isn't this movie called Snakes on a Plane?" And he said, "I should be saying something about get these motherfucking snakes off this motherfucking plane." And then they went back and reshot things. Like they added things to that movie, and you can tell watching it. They added a nude scene that wasn't originally in it. They added cussing to it that wasn't there. There were times where the swearing was in that movie, and you either didn't see the people say the words, like they happened, the person speaking was off camera, or they were extreme close-ups on the person who was saying it, so you could tell that it was shot after the fact, like it was done in post.
So weird. Yeah, that movie was trash.
It was,
but fun trash.
Yep.
And kind of partly because it was trash.
Right. And with the first trailer, I kind of expected that, but then I kept hearing more about it, and it was like, well, maybe this movie isn't quite as trashy as all that. So I think maybe I had that different set of expectations about it.
And I think that's on me, right? Yeah, because I thought it was going to be trashier than it was, and it's weird to be disappointed that the movie was good, or right?
I understand. I understand. Well, I think there was also something to be said about expectations set by the trailers I saw before the movie also.
Yeah, they seem to be selling me like a Sharknado level movie.
Yeah, well, they were definitely selling me a movie that was hard R. When we went last night, and there were 4 Red Band trailers.
Oh yeah,
before the movie, which I cannot tell you the last time I went to a movie and saw 4 Red Band trailers before a movie, like 1 or 2. But they showed a couple of trailers, and it was like Red Band trailer. Like it was like, holy shit, how many Red Band trailers are we gonna get? And I don't know about you, but I am gonna probably see Strays on opening night, because that movie looked weird and hilarious.
Yeah, that's with Will Ferrell as a dog. Yeah. Yep. I'm in for that one.
Yeah.
I saw that trailer.
So we saw the Evil Dead Rises, I believe.
Honestly, I think I'm in for that too.
I'm not big into horror movies as much, and I've never been a big Evil Dead fan.
I would say my favorite Evil Dead movie is Army of Darkness, which is barely that in the first place, and it's all medieval stuff, and that's why I'm into it. But I don't know. This one looked It looks like it'd be fun for me to watch. I think I'd be in for that one.
It looks like a good horror movie.
Mhm.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I might watch it if I won't see that one in the theaters. That's just
Mhm.
I don't get that into horror movies that I'm gonna pay extra money to see them. If it's on a streaming service I'm already paying for, I'll probably
Sure.
watch it. But yeah, we saw that one. We saw The Machine.
Oh
which
yeah,
looks,
I'd like to see The Machine.
which looks like a lot of fun. Strays,
Mhm.
and
But dude from The Machine's gonna be here.
yes, I
He's
saw
coming for
that.
that comedy festival. Yeah. So that's exciting.
Yeah, and then I'm blanking on what
Did you
the
get
other
the
one.
Woody Harrelson basketball coach movie,
No, we did not.
Champions? We
We
got
did
that one.
not get that one. And that one starts like now, today or
Yeah.
tomorrow. It starts in the next day or two, I believe.
I'm nervous about that one.
Yeah.
Seems, I don't know, risky. I'll have to look some more into its production to see like what went into that.
Yeah.
How about Scream 6? I got a trailer for Scream 6.
Did we get that one? I don't remember getting that one. I've seen the trailer for it before, but I don't remember seeing it last night. But I'm blanking on what the fourth Red Band trailer that we had was. But yeah, all of them looked good. Looked worth seeing.
Yeah, so we got some stuff coming up that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Check out too. I had read where this movie was shot all in Ireland.
Really?
Which I thought was weird.
Yeah, it didn't look like Banshees.
Right. Well, I guess they've got a good film commission there and lots of supports for bringing in productions, and I imagine it's a good sell to actors. Like, hey, you want to sign up for this movie? We're shooting in Ireland.
Yeah, why not?
It'd be nice.
I was looking to see. I don't know if I'm just not looking at the right page, but I don't see any of the trivia or anything about the movie. But every time I look, oh, here it is. I was looking to see if there was trivia or anything like that on the movie. But then again, it seems like every 6 months or so, IMDb changes their layout. So Cocaine Bear was intended to be a temporary working title. The producers decided to release it under the name as they, quote, couldn't think of anything else.
Pablo Escobar is not bad, but
that is pretty good. Yeah.
The name of the actual bear. That bear is weird too because it's in a mall in Kentucky. It's taxidermied corpse.
Really?
And
wow.
The Wikipedia article about it's great because it has a paragraph that the bear can officiate weddings. And it's because Kentucky has some stupid laws, but one of them is as long as you believe the officiant could officiate your wedding, then the wedding can't be invalidated. So as long as you believe the bear can marry you, then it can. It has the power of Kentucky law behind it.
Well, that makes sense.
Yep. It makes as much sense as anything else with marriage law.
The interesting Kentucky law I found out not too long ago from Holden's partner was that by Kentucky law, any domicile that has 6 or more women living in it is considered a brothel.
That's true.
And that's why there are no sorority houses on the campus that they go to. There are frat houses, but there are no sorority houses because of that.
Yeah, Kentucky's weird.
Kentucky is very weird. Even though
for being a commonwealth.
But even though they do have an all women's dorm. So I don't. I guess
Well, yeah,
that
like a
could
hotel
pass.
wouldn't count.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe because it's a shared living space instead of individual rooms. I'm not sure. Um, Ray Liotta. This is Ray Liotta's final completed film role before passing away May 26th, 2022. He died a week after he came to re-record his lines in post-production.
Wow.
Elizabeth Banks said Liotta praised the look of the bear once he got a look at it.
Bear looks great.
Yeah. Inspired in part by true events in 1985 when corrupt Kentucky cop and lawyer turned drug smuggler Andrew Thornton flew in a smuggling run, dumping packages of cocaine over Georgia before attempting to escape with nearly 80 pounds of it strapped to his body. However, the parachute malfunctioned, possibly from the extra weight, and Thornton fell to his death in Knoxville, Tennessee residential driveway. 40 kilos of the thrown packages landed in a national forest and were consumed by a black bear who overdosed, most likely within minutes, dying from a cerebral hemorrhage and respiratory and heart failure after eating $20 million worth, 55 million adjusted for inflation, with the lone
Thank you.
exceptions of Thornton and the bear. No other casualties have ever been reported.
Yep. That's great. Thanks. I'm glad they adjusted that for inflation.
Right? Yeah, it's good. It's good to know.
How much money did that bear eat?
Yeah. Kerry Russell, Alden Ehrenreich, and O'Shea Jackson Jr. previously starred in the Star Wars franchise. Alden Ehrenreich and Margot Martindale starred in Beautiful Creatures.
Yeah. Oh,
Jesse
yeah.
Tyler Ferguson and Elizabeth Banks were both in Modern Family. Yeah, here's the fun fact. This was filmed in Ireland for whatever reason. But anyone who lives in Southeast United States or Georgia specifically, the way you can tell this is not Georgia and not the Chattahoochee National Park is that through the whole movie, there's not one single pine tree. It's all hardwoods. When the lumber barons, the Vanderbilts specifically, ravaged the Appalachian mountain range of many old growth trees, pine trees were planted to prevent erosion.
Yep. I know that from in college. My PE course was hiking, and whenever it rained, instead of hiking, we watched a video series about the Appalachian Trail.
Huh.
And they did talk about the pine trees and the Vanderbilts in that docu-series. We all followed several hikers, and one of the best was there's this woman hiker who had a lot of different companions along her journey, along the trail. And so every time we had a new episode, we'd all be like, who's she hiking with today? That's great. She made a lot of new friends, which apparently was the theme of the video anyway. Everyone was making new friends in this video.
Oh, there you go. The boy was named Henry, which was the name of Kerry Russell's son in The Americans.
That's true too. Yep. Gosh, I really liked The Americans.
I did too. I only watched a couple seasons of it. And it was one of those things that I'd watch a season and I was like, oh, I don't expect they're going to have any more of this. And then there was another season. I was like, oh, I watched that season and I don't expect there's going to be any more of this. And it just kept going. Like, I kept expecting every season finale to be the series finale, and then surprised it would come back. And I think the last couple of seasons, I just kind of forgot to come back to it.
That's true.
Homeland was kind of like that for me as well.
Well, I
that
guess
one got weird. It went way away from the original premise, and once it got too far away from the original premise, I'm like,
Mhm.
the story ended in a good way at the end of one of the seasons, and I just tapped out. And I was like, I'm done. If I hear stellar things, I'll go back and watch it later. But
Well, there's the a trouble that a lot of shows like this have, which I sort of remember from like The Shield, and then seeing happen in other things like Sons of Anarchy and Justified and
Mhm.
Homeland, where each season they like are up in the stakes, and like you can't. That's not sustainable, right?
Right.
And so it just gets ridiculous. Like Sons of Anarchy, I'm like, well, why are they still doing crime? Like it isn't working. Like they should have quit a long time ago.
But they did that great season where they did half of it in Ireland,
They
and
did.
they changed the intro song,
They
and
sure did.
you know what? I watched every episode of that goddamn show.
Yeah,
I
and like,
watched every episode of The Shield too.
oh yeah, and like I was into them, but like
Yeah.
at some point, like it's just like this has gotten very ridiculous,
Yep.
right? And I thought one of the things I particularly liked about the Americans is like the stakes are so much lower in the second season, like for the state of the world or for the state of the Cold War.
Right.
The stakes are only higher for the state of the marriage of these people, right? Like
Yeah.
the stakes change on character level, not on I don't know, amping it up in this weird like high threat. I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
is this daughter going to reconcile with her mom? You know, or whatever. That's the bits that
Right.
I ended up caring about, which I thought that was kind of fantastic.
Yeah, that's what I watching Ozark
Uh-huh.
got the same way.
Yep.
And it was once we got to that, once they announced that like whatever the fourth season was going to be the last season, it was like, okay, I will watch the fourth season then,
Hmm.
because they had escalated so far into that third season that was like, how much further are we going to push this? Because things got pretty bonkers for
Yeah.
us to get to this point. I appreciate when somebody knows it's time to tap out.
Right. And so like Reese and I are watching Breaking Bad,
Mm,
and we're in season 4. I'm like, oh yeah, it's good that they had a fixed time and this was going to be done, because that helps avoid this continued escalation, even though that also continued to escalate and got ridiculous. It was, we had an end point where we were going
it
to.
did, yeah. But once you know that there's an end point, like I feel like I can put up with the ridiculous a little more.
Yep.
I have hate washed last seasons of television shows
Hmm.
because I knew it was the last season. I'm just want to get pushed through. I tapped out of Grey's Anatomy a decade ago, and
Hmm.
it doesn't hurt my feelings that I've missed anything that has come after that. Julie still watches it, and I'll look over her shoulder, and I was like, this feels like the same shit that they did in the seasons that I watched. Like it just they've cycled things back through. I watched most of the CW superhero stuff,
Oh yeah, right.
and they do the same stuff. Like I was gonna tap out of the Flash again, but they're like, oh, this is the last season. Okay, all right,
Hmm.
I'll stick with you for the last season because it's the last season, and I've watched the rest of it. But man, that last season of Supergirl, oh, I did nothing but complain about every episode of it that I watched.
I had been into all the shows at the start of it, right? Like I loved Arrow and
Same.
Flash when they added it, and then they did the Supergroup show. I can't remember what the name of that was.
Legends of Tomorrow.
That's the one. And I watched that for a minute, but at the same time, there was a thing going on in Arrow where it's like, are he and the girl going to get together? Like,
Mm,
there is this protracted will they, won't they, or love and they're going to be torn apart, like sort of stuff. And like, that was a plot I just could not bring myself to care about.
yep.
And I was spending like, 4 hours a week just watching these shows because I liked the crossovers, but it wasn't actually worth 4 hours of TV time for me,
Yeah.
and that had to go. And so I cut all those shows out, which is too bad because I'm sure there was lots of other great things
Yeah.
from time to time.
The one that I stuck with and continued to enjoy for exactly what it was Legends of Tomorrow.
Really?
Yep. Because
Wild.
in the first season, I don't think they knew what they were doing, and it was a hot mess. And then I think somebody realized toward the end of that first season, hey, we can make a TV series that's a hot mess. And just any stupid time travel puns we can think of,
All right.
they just leaned into every one of them. At the last season, there's a dude that's a full on stoner. Like he is just getting high all the time, and it becomes plot points in the series.
I love that.
You know, he's like getting baked with historical figures. Like, and it's a plot point. They in the last episode they introduce a character, and I'm like, and it's Donald Faison from Scrubs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, some of his actions and some of his like the physical appearance of the things he's wearing, it's like that's Booster Gold. That's a comic book character, but they don't call him that. Like they never call him that. And like right at the end of the last episode, they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I'm Booster Gold." And I was like, "God damn it, I knew it." So like you could see that they were setting up the whole next season was going to be adding Donald Faison as Booster Gold, and like at that point there was like this huge push to get Zach Braff to be Blue Beetle because those two like are
That'd be
buddies
great.
together in the comics. And then the series got canceled, and it was like, damn it, of all of the ones that got canceled, I'm still enjoying that one. At one point they introduced this Elmo like character, Bebo, and it's just some doll that's like Bebo the doll. At one point in the series, it becomes a kaiju, and so they have to fight Bebo the kaiju. They actually made a Bebo Christmas special, an animated Christmas special that aired at Christmas time. And the premise of it was, this is a Christmas special as it would have been in the DCU, in the DC like CW universe. But it was actually legitimately a fun animated Christmas special. Like it was just an animated Christmas special. They just used that Bebo character. It's wild, some of the stuff, and they got away with doing it. Like it worked. It worked better than like the whole last season of Supergirl did.
Man. Yeah, I watched none of the Supergirl. Although that would have been something that I might have watched, but I'd already like tapped out of the CW comic book shows. And like that happens occasionally with that. Like I tapped out of Supernatural after season 5, and I guess I went for 10 more. I think I only watched the first 5 of Smallville back before the CW ones, and I watched just the first season of Heroes, which I really loved. But immediately in season 2, I'm like, oh no, I'm out.
No, you picked the right time to get out of Heroes.
Yeah.
You absolutely picked the right time. I wanted to love Heroes so much.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted so much to love it. And then they introduced Hero, the time traveling hero, and it was like, they're going to fuck this up. They're going to fuck this up. And Julie was like, but he's such a good character. And I was like, you're right. But he's a time traveler, and serialized television doesn't understand how to do time travel.
Mm-mm.
Because they don't understand that any problem they have that can just be fixed with a time traveler, unless you give the time traveler really good rules for time travel, and they never did. And then they just ignored the fact that they had a time traveler until they wanted to have a time traveler. It was
Right.
it was
Well,
it was rough.
I remember the pitch for Heroes, right? And maybe this is wrong, but what I
Save the cheerleader, save the world, man.
yeah, right. And what I understood was the what's his name, Tim Kring, just thought the origin story was the cool part, and so he wanted to do a season that was an origin story for all these heroes and like tell their story. And then in the next season, all new heroes, all new origin stories, maybe in the same world, maybe sent as guest in, but like a whole new cast.
They should have done that.
And that's what I would have been down for. But it was that curse. Like people like these characters, and marketing execs were like, well, we need more of them.
Mhm.
Right.
Well, and look at some of the actors that came out of that series. I mean,
Oh yeah, Siler, that guy's great.
yeah, and so is Milo Ventimiglia.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, he's got a stellar career after this.
Mhm.
After that, fun little callback to earlier in this episode. Milo Ventimiglia plays Rocky's son in Rocky Balboa and in
Awesome.
Creed 2.
I could see that.
The thing is Julie was watching some new series that he's in, like that just started, and they were showing him in like this really dim light, and he was making this face, and I was like, holy shit, that's Stallone's face. Like that's exactly why they cast him as Stallone's son.
Right? Like he's got the
Yeah, he
the
even has
mouth for it.
the curl. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like I got out of that early because of that.
You made the right choice. You made the right choice. I enjoyed Smallville. I watched all 10 seasons,
Oh, 10.
all 10. And I'm actually currently rewatching it because they're doing a podcast with Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum are doing a rewatch podcast where they rewatch an episode and talk about it, and then also interview people. So they've interviewed probably most of the people who were in the show at this point.
Nice.
Yeah.
Am I remembering right that James Marsters is Brainiac in Smallville?
I believe so. I believe that's right. Yep.
Yeah.
So they're actually
British.
into the second season now. So I'm actually I listen to the episode every week and then watch the next episode. So I'm watching one episode a week along with the
fun.
podcast. It is. And I did it early in the pandemic with The Sopranos.
See, I never watched The Sopranos.
Two of the guys from The Sopranos did a rewatch podcast, and I did the same thing with that. And I am enjoying these because it's not random fans rewatching, and because I know people who have done that. I've considered doing it with some TV shows, just rewatching a TV show and talking about it. But I like this because one thing I never realized, having not been an actor or involved in any of that, was that these people don't tend to watch their own stuff. I wasn't aware of that. And then what's been interesting is how, like, especially Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum, they're like, I haven't seen these episodes in 20 years. These episodes aired 20 years ago. I've never seen them. So it's not that I haven't seen them in 20 years. I've never seen this. And what's interesting with them is, like, Tom Welling's like, I was in so much of every episode that I didn't have time to watch, let alone, pay attention to anything that I wasn't doing. And Michael Rosenbaum was like, I didn't want to know what my character didn't know, so I didn't pay attention to anything that I wasn't involved in. And also, I'm not a Superman fan. I didn't, I was not a comic book fan. Yeah, I'm an actor. I didn't know any of these things. He's like, I'd go to people and they're like, "Oh, I'm playing this character. He's gonna mind control me. His name is Zod," and he's like, all these people had freaked out, and I was like, "What is that a thing?" So, it's been interesting because these guys have never watched the episodes, and now they're going back and watching them.
Yeah.
The other thing that's amazing is watching those Smallville episodes after having watched this latest wave of superhero TV shows is the special effects in Smallville are pretty amazing because they used practical
Yeah.
so much. There's a scene where the coach of the football team has these fire-based powers, and he's standing on the football field, and there's these jets of flame shooting all around him. Look, it kind of looks like a sprinkler system, but it's shooting flames all around him. And these are real fire.
Mhm.
You would not do anything close to that today.
No, it looks like fire's always CGI now.
Oh yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
I mean, pyro's not that dangerous, but I guess
yeah.
CGI is that cheap.
Right. Well, I mean, we just saw RRR in the theater.
Yeah.
All those animals are CGI.
Gosh, what a good movie.
It is. And I didn't notice this, but Julie pointed out, but she's more horse forward than I am.
Sure.
She's like, the horse, every time he rode the horse, it was so bad. I was like, I didn't notice. I was not looking at the horse. She's like, it was so bad.
I thought when you're talking about the actors not having seen their own stuff, I got two interesting like movie commentary tracks, which are contrasting. Well, one is Conan the Barbarian with Arnold
Oh.
Schwarzenegger and John Milius doing the commentary track, and it's fantastic because Arnold has no memory of making the movie or anything about it. So it's like he's seeing it for the first time. He's excited. He's asking plot questions like, "What is that?" And like, "It's the Wheel of Pain." "Oh, what's it do?" It grinds grain. Where do they get the grain? I don't know. I guess surrounding villages or something. The point is, it makes you strong. I am so jacked. Like it's great. Like it's just so
That
funny.
actually sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was a ton of fun. But the other is Pitch Black with the Vin Diesel commentary
Mm-hmm.
because he has seen it many times.
Oh,
And so in every scene, save for one, he starts his commentary with like, "I absolutely love this scene." Like every scene
Every
is how
scene,
much
yeah.
he loved that scene,
yeah.
except for one, and it's the one where he secretly cuts Claudia Black's hair. Like she's standing something, he's hidden in something behind her, and he like snips off some of her hair. Vin Diesel hated that. He's like, that makes no sense. How can she not feel that? Like that's this movie of weird aliens that come out at night, sci-fi. None of that bothered him.
Yep.
Cutting this lady's hair. That's the bit. That's where you lose me.
That's what took you out.
Right. It's believable up until then. Like, so wild. And it's just he's such an actor in it, like because all he talks about is like the performance and his thing and how much he loved how it came together, and like he's so positive about it, which
Yeah.
just living with someone from who's grown up in Southern California and having spent some time for people from Southern California, there's some like differences in culture that like I notice.
Mm-hmm.
Like here things are, "Oh, I'm fine," like you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
But there, I'm amazing because look at all this stuff I have going on, and here's the good things about me. Like, there's a lot of like self promotion, which I think is probably really important in like Hollywood to like
Sure.
advance your career.
I mean,
And
we
it's
could
just
probably all be more positive about ourselves though too.
right.
Like, there's good and bad with that.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Like, oh, sorry. Cultural differences, not deficiencies.
No.
Right.
No. Right.
And like, I notice it because I think it stems from Hollywood, and then it has seeped out to like everywhere because everyone has a very like different. And so Vin Diesel totally embodied that in this
That's
power track,
funny.
which I loved listening to.
That's funny.
Mhm.
Yeah, I used
Not
to.
insightful, but
I used to watch a lot of directors' commentaries, or just commentaries in general. Like I got really into it with the Kevin Smith
Oh yeah,
movies,
like
because
such a
I
good
mean,
storyteller.
he would do multiple commentary tracks on some of those movies. Um, but the one of them that I actually found very interesting technically was, and I mean, I know now that he is a shit person, but he was not identified as one back then, was Mel Gibson. Um,
Uh-huh.
and the Braveheart director's commentary was like I felt like I felt like it was a film class, because he was explaining like how they got some of the shots, and um like how they use different focal lengths and different speed film to get different shots, and
Mhm.
like the you know and he's getting really technical about, now, the way, the way we shot this, we shot it with super high speed film, and this other one we shot it with super slow speed film, so we could get the effect to look right. So we played it at normal speed. It would either make it look like it was super fast and frenetic for a battle scene, or it made it look like it looked perfect for a slow-mo, you know, slicing someone's head off thing. That was that was actually a lot of fun, just because it felt like a master class kind of, like, and I wasn't expecting that. So it was just kind of a fun different thing, especially when I'd been used to Kevin Smith jacking around, everybody's getting high, talking about the the movie, that kind of thing.
Those are good.
Yeah.
There was one I liked, Observe and Report, uh, comedy with Seth Rogen and Jody Hill thing. He plays a mall cop.
I never saw that one.
Oh, I quite liked it. I've shown it in class just because it's a really good example of like someone with bipolar who's gone off their meds, and
Mm,
there's a lot of like interesting things to talk about from it and from like a psych perspective in the film. And it's dark and funny, and I'm into those kind of things. And
yeah.
but the commentary track's nice because they do the kind where they sort of all show them in a theater like talking, and they've got like Jody Hill and Anna Faris and Seth Rogen, and like they have a really fun time doing the
Mm,
commentary, and so I like that. They talk about the production and the stuff that goes into the film, but also like they are laughing and making extra jokes and talking about other things, which I enjoyed.
nice.
I like it when it's like, so like I thought the commentary tracks for Futurama were as good as the episodes.
Huh. I,
Yeah.
I've never seen Futurama. It
Oh,
missed me.
whew.
It missed me.
Yeah. I loved that show, particularly
Hmm.
its original run, like its first like 4 seasons or so. But the DVDs that came out with it that had commentary track, they do commentary on every episode. It's got the director, some of the voice talent, the head writer David X. Cohen, and then sometimes other
Nice.
writers and other production people in it.
Hmm.
And so they do talk about the production of an animated show, which is interesting, but they also like they tell the jokes that were left on the cutting room floor. They explain the
Oh, that's fun.
math behind the math jokes. Like they are just such nerds and they nerd out in it.
Oh,
Or
that's
like
cool.
the voice actors will deliver alternate lines or they'll do each other's voices for stuff. Like it is a lot of fun.
That sounds fun.
Hmm.
The other kind of commentary track that I really got into was the Battlestar Galactica. Ron Moore. So Ron Moore did a podcast, and he would take the episodes that, as he got them, like before they aired, and he would record the podcast. He would record a podcast which was basically just a commentary track. So I never went back to look to see if they did this, but I'm assuming that if they took his podcast, they could just lay it over as it, because you can totally just lay it over, because
Hmm.
I mean he's talking about it as you watch it. Like he's like, all right, I'm starting it, and you could like hear every once in a while, you could hear little things in the background, so you got context clues for where you are in the episode.
Hmm.
But I got super into that series, and
I'm sorry.
I would watch it.
Mhm.
At the time, I had a Replay TV, which was the TiVo alternative.
Sure.
And like I guess some funny stories about that. So I got the Replay TV, and I got the Replay TV as opposed to the TiVo because you could you could network it and strip the you could actually rip video from it.
Oh, that's worth
And
having.
I would rip video and put them on DVDs, burnable DVDs, because I had a guy that I worked with that um, he had like 5 or 6 kids, so like he couldn't afford cable, and and he's like, "Man, that show sounds amazing," and I was like, "It is." And every couple of weeks, I'd bring him a DVD, with a couple of episodes on it. So,
Nice.
so like I would watch it, then I would rewatch it while I'm stripping the commercials out of those, because if I strip commercials out, I could put 2 full episodes on a single DVD.
Mhm.
Because it was also like the single density DVDs, like
Sure. I remember these days.
so I would watch it then, I would watch it again, and then I would listen to the podcast a couple of
You were
days
in
later.
deep.
Oh man, I was in so deep because he would never release the podcast until like Monday. I think it was like Monday because the episodes aired on Fridays.
Mhm.
So it's like I was watching the episodes twice and then listening to the commentary. I was in so deep. But he had a
I
lot of really great stories. Like the one story that has become legend is the story where um Edward James Olmos is there's the scene where he
Yep.
breaks the the boat, and like he's just in the moment and he destroys it, and like they had to hold prop people back, like that, like the
Mhm.
director had to have people hold the prop guy back because they're like, this is incredible, and the prop guy's losing his shit because
Oh,
of how
yeah.
expensive that was and they borrowed it.
Yep. I mean, having worked on a couple of productions with some art department folks, they do not like it when the actors touch the props. Like, I mean, they have a lot of. It's interesting to me, like the different responsibilities and the siloing that happens for like the different people working on the set, and like, yeah, art department would not be happy
Yeah,
with
right.
this. They
Yeah.
lose their shit when you touch things that you weren't already going to touch.
Right. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I've having a kid in theater, and I've learned some things.
Hmm.
Also a kid who is, just the side of a bull in a china shop. He has broken doors,
Yep.
like doors at the school. He broke a door. I still don't quite know how he did it. Um, he was in Puffs, the parody of the Harry Potter story, but all
Oh,
told
right,
from
right,
the
right, right.
Hufflepuff point of view. He broke a wand just by flicking it. Like he did that and it broke.
Nice.
It happened on stage. We watched it happen. Yeah. He has a tendency to just break things. They just break around him. So I think now like on the flip side, the other kid is now in the set department. Like not on stage, working behind the scenes in set. So it's like maybe they'll make up for what their brother destroyed.
Yeah, I do miss. I mean, like streaming is very convenient, but I miss all the special features that I would nerd out about on DVDs, all the different commentary tracks and
Yeah.
all that stuff. I think I watched like 3 different commentary tracks for The Matrix or for Contact.
Oh yeah.
They had an isolated score track that had the composer talking about it. I'm like, okay, I'll watch that.
Sure. Yeah.
I got 3 hours. What else am I gonna do?
Oh, I watched every version of Blade Runner because I got
Yep.
that suitcase one.
Yeah,
The
yeah. I
suitcase
know the one
set.
you mean.
Yep. So it came with like 4 or 5 different versions of it. I've watched every version of it,
Hmm.
listened to the commentary tracks.
Yep. But we don't really get those on streaming services.
Well, now it's like
I feel like they could.
Oh, they could. They absolutely could. My problem is just there's so many things that I want to watch. Like it
Right.
feels like
Also true.
I feel like there's not enough time for me to watch the stuff that I want to watch. Like I still haven't seen Clerks 3.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Like and I want to. I really do want to. And I've heard really good things about it,
Mm-hmm.
but I
I
just
watch
haven't made
anything
time to
Kevin
watch it.
Smith's involved with.
I will too. And I've made some mistakes with some of them.
Oh yeah, they're not all great,
No,
but I still watch it.
no. It's weird though to hear him talk about some of the movies because there's movies that I thought were great that he bad talks. And then there's movies that he talks about like, man, I really thought I was doing something great here. And it's like, man, that movie sucked. Like I was not a fan of Red State.
Oh.
Like that was a weird movie.
It was weird. I liked it. There was a minute where I'm like, wait, is the answer the rapture's happening? Right? There's like, okay.
Well, I think my bigger problem with it was it felt like it needed another passive editing.
Yeah.
It felt like it was edited in a very lazy fashion. But like Jersey Girl, I love Jersey Girl. I unapologetic about my love of Jersey Girl. And what's really weird is I remember him talking about Jersey Girl and about how it was a love letter to his dad and how it's because his dad passed away. I think shortly after he made it. I think his dad actually got to see it, but like it was right about that time. But then in the aftermath of that movie coming out, he turned on it. Like he got ahead of people talking bad about it. And he jumped right onto the talking bad about it. The biggest problem with that movie was that Geely came out before it.
Yeah.
Between Geely and the advertising department fucked him on the plot.
Geely wasn't good, but it got way more hate. Like, I mean, like, yes, it was a bad film, but like,
there were worse movies.
There were worse movies. Yeah.
What's the name of that Madonna movie with her and is it Rupert Everett? The Next Best Thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
That movie's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Objectively, that movie was god awful. And I finished watching it just to see if it would stay as bad as it did, and it did. It did. I think the two movies that I point to as quite possibly the worst movies I've ever seen. That's one, and the other one is it's the time travel movie. It was it a Bradbury story? Oh, what was the name of that one?
Is it the time traveler's wife?
No,
that was bad.
Yeah, we watched a little bit of the TV show and it was terrible.
It somehow made it worse somehow.
Yeah, I never watched the movie, but no, it was oh shit, Ben Kingsley was in it. They were time traveling and going back and hunting dinosaurs.
Oh yeah. Oh boy.
What was the name of that damn movie?
I'm
looking it up because it's gonna bug me if I don't remember it.
Yeah, I remember that story. Classic. Ray Bradbury.
Yeah, right.
About the butterfly effect.
Yeah, but it's not the butterfly effect. But it's
which is another bad movie.
Yeah, but they literally step on a like prehistoric butterfly.
Right.
Like that's part of the plot.
Right. I think that's where. No, that's not where that term comes from. That comes from something else. But like that is. Yep. There's a Simpsons Treehouse of Horror based on it.
Yeah, probably.
Oh.
Where is that damn movie?
Oh, I just saw on this list Ender's Game. That was not a great movie. Prince of Persia. That was also not a great movie. Oh, Ben Kingsley, you need to start saying no to some things.
Ben Kingsley will make some decent movies, and then A Sound of Thunder. That's the movie.
Oh,
It's
yep,
the
there it
movie is The
is.
Sound of Thunder. And it's hilarious because so like there's this wave of time change that goes across the globe and it just keeps looping. You know, every time they make a change and they travel through time, like once they come back, then a wave hits to adjust time. So like they come back to their time, but then the time wave catches up to them to adjust time. But inevitably, when the time wave passes, they manage to jump backwards whenever the time wave hits. At one time, swear to Christ, they are driving in a vehicle and that vehicle jumps right as that time wave passes.
Mm-mm. Mm.
Every time they're in midair whenever that time wave passes. Oh my God. And it became like a joke as I'm watching the movie. Like, I cannot stop watching this train wreck of a movie. It is so terrible.
It was very upsetting. Mhm. Sorry, I just thought of terrible time travel movies, and it reminded me of this Sean Astin film that I had watched where he used the cell phone network to travel through time. But the first time I tried to watch it, I actually got another movie by the same name that had Mark Hamill in a post-apocalyptic world where he flew like a light glider. But it has the same name as the Sean Astin movie, which it's maybe called Slipstream. I'm not sure. It's something like that.
That sounds right. I'm not familiar with this movie, but
Which one?
yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So let's see. Slipstream. Yeah, Slipstream is the name, and there's
Yep, there's a
the
1989 movie with Mark Hamill, Bill Paxton, Bob Peck,
and the
Ben
2000.
Kingsley, and Ben Kingsley.
Of course, Ben Kingsley's also in that, and it was not good. And the 2005 movie with Sean Astin is the time travel one. It's like Sean Astin and that dude from Snatch, Bullet Tooth Tony,
Mhm.
is in that one. And it was also not good. But thinking of Mark Hamill reminded me that he's in the Machine.
He is in The Machine.
I'm excited about that even more so.
He looks really fun in that movie too.
I mean, he seems like a really fun dude. His Twitter
Sean Astin,
presence.
Vinnie Jones.
Yeah, Vinnie Jones, that's his name.
Yep.
Yes.
Wow.
Neither of these were good movies.
Nope, that does not look like a good movie. It's so easy to make a bad time travel movie.
Yeah. Or to make a good time travel movie that isn't a good movie.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Like
I mean,
Primer.
like Primer. It's so smart that they forgot to make it good. Or Tenet. I really liked so much things about Tenet, but like
I did too.
you could easily tell me that that's not a good movie. It's just slick. I'm like, okay. Like I liked it.
I mean,
but
you
can see how
could
people were just totally lost.
sure. I think Nolan makes amazing movies that you have to completely buy into, or
Mhm.
they seem like they seem utterly ridiculous. If you're not completely bought in, like, yeah, no, but I like his movies. I do
Oh
like
yeah.
his movies.
I loved Memento.
Mm-hmm.
I liked those Batman movies he did. The third one was a little weak.
The third one wasn't great,
Mhm.
but he did
But-
I mean,
And
he earned a lot of credit with the second one. The
Yeah.
second one was so good.
and thank you, Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
Like all of his scenes was what made that movie great.
I really wish they wouldn't have killed off Harvey Dent,
Yeah.
Aaron Eckhart.
Yep.
Because Aaron
There's-
Eckhart's, you know what? Well, you know what? I liked Aaron Eckhart's performance better.
Oh,
And
then
Heath
Heath
Ledger's-
Ledger. Woo! Oh, hot take.
and that does not take anything away from Heath Ledger's performance. I thought Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent
Yeah.
was amazing because
Yeah.
his character turned. Heath
Mhm.
Ledger was the same character throughout,
You're right.
but Aaron Eckhart's character turned in that movie, and
Mhm.
his performance had to shift with it.
I think the moment I cite as what made me think that Heath Ledger was amazing is he's busted into a party and he grabs a shrimp and he throws it in his mouth and chews it. And even this seeing him chewing it like amused me. Like the way he chewed a piece of shrimp was funny and creepy.
Yeah.
And I'm like how did you eat an hors d'oeuvre like the Joker? You know what I mean? Like somehow like he really captured something even in this character, and like it came out even in those small moves,
Yeah.
which I
Yeah.
was just like, this is great.
His performance was amazing. He
Mhm.
was an incredible Joker.
Mhm. Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ambien. And I liked him in other stuff too, like before that, right? First Night
Yeah.
was
That was
really
fun.
great.
That was a lot of fun.
Fun film. Oh wow.
Yep.
It's no Cocaine Bear.
It is no Cocaine Bear.
Mm-hmm. And now, like, I think I mentioned it when we pitched doing Cocaine Bear. Like, I don't know what movies are real or not anymore, right? Is there actually a Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey? Is there
There's
actually going to,
supposed to be, but it
or
hasn't
was
been
that just a
released.
prank? Like, I don't know. Is
No, I
Meth Gator going to be a real movie? Like,
right.
might as well be. I'll have no way of telling.
Well, I've heard they're already talking about a Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey sequel because
Great.
because every year that passes, more of the characters get into the public domain.
Nice.
So,
Thanks for noticing me kill you.
yeah.
No. I mean, I guess we can do it, right? What else we get in the public domain? Peter Pan? Is that out there?
Probably.
Right,
I don't know.
think.
I don't know
Old tales.
when
All the various Sherlock Holmes properties, right? Because that's all public domain.
that's I think
I think
if
that's
not
why I find
all of it,
so many of those.
yeah, if not all of it, most of it's in the public domain now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, another trailer that we got that I was surprised by because I didn't know they were making a movie was the Luther movie.
Oh yeah, I did get that trailer.
I was like, because I saw the trailer and I was like, holy shit, is there another season coming? like out loud, those words came out of my mouth, and then it was like in theaters and on Netflix. I was like, oh boy, it's a movie.
I quite liked Luther.
I did too.
A lot of fun. Abel Surdai was I ere I saw Idris Elba. Like, whew, that guy. Like I identify as a straight man, but
right,
he came a calling. Like
yeah.
he's such a good, solid actor in all of his roles.
Yep. I believed him as a genie.
Charismatic. Mm-hmm.
I believed him as a genie.
As a Baltimore drug dealer.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one that's he embodies those roles so well.
Mm-hmm.
I like that he's been in both Marvel and DC now too. Like he's just everywhere. Has he been in Star Wars yet?
Should be. Let's put him in there.
Yeah, let's get him in. Andor season 2. Let's do it.
All right. Take it. What can't he do?
Anything. He can do anything he wants as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah.
Yep. I don't have much else to talk about.
All right. Is there something on tap for next week?
We have not picked anything for next week.
Good.
We'll take that offline. We'll figure something out.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, we'll see you next time then.
Yep, catch you
All right.
later.
Catch you later. See ya.
Bye.